Hey, good morning. How y'all doing? It is, well, Red Beard. It's a damn fine day to talk about a book, and today we are here for a book review, and we're going to talk about The Warrior Retreat by John Lynch. This is self-published. I consider John a friend. I mean, don't get me wrong, not in real life, but as far as, people online go, I mean, he's kind of one of my guys. So, another thing I'll say is that I've been doing this for 3-4 years, and I've watched a lot of people that I consider to be reviewers or maybe just readers decide to try their hand at writing. And every time that I see that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm supportive, but I kind of cringe. I'm kind of like, oh, I mean, I'm not one of these people that believes that everyone has it. Like I said, I consider John a friend. He knows that if I thought this book was shit, I would have told you that this book was shit. John has got the goods. John has some real writing skills, and to be honest, it shocked the absolute shit out of me. I mean, a lot of people have wonderful stories to tell. They just can't tell them, right? And that is not the case with John. This book is really, really good. Now, I'm at 4 stars. I'm going to tell you why. I will say that up to like 65, 70 pages in, I was at 5 stars. There were other parts of this book that were 5 stars for me. It's a debut, and so there are a couple things along the way that, kind of brought it to 4. But that's, as I say that, I never thought about 3. This was, at no part in this was this a 3-star read. I thought about 5 multiple times. I mean, I could call it 4.5, whatever, but ultimately, debut, really, really good. I'm going to call it 4 stars. Dug the absolute hell out of this book. So let's get a little bit of synopsis, and then I'll kind of break it down for you. For some servicemen and women, coming home means the end of the war. But for the Marines of Weapons Company, it's not so simple. Sometimes the war follows you home. After the suicide of a fellow brother in arms, Marine turned veteran advocate Marcus Simpson organizes a weekend getaway through a nonprofit agency. Marcus has seen too much to allow another brother to become a statistic. He knows that one weekend isn't enough, but maybe if he can get through to them, he can convince them to seek professional help. But what happens when a man's mind has been broken beyond repair? What happens at the Warrior Retreat? So it's about a group of soldiers that spent time together in, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to fuck this up. I can't remember if it was Iraq or Afghanistan, but spent some time overseas in the sand, came back, went their own way, and they're getting back together for this Warrior Retreat. So, I will tell you that we're building towards a slasher type scenario, a mass murder type scenario. The question is who is it, and what is it? Is it? I mean, are we putting these guys in a cabin to fight off some external, external force, or is it, one of the guys, that's part of the group, or what is it? So, we open on a scene with Ray. Ray's kind of our main character, one of our main characters, and Ray is haunted by something that happened over there. He's haunted by an event that happened. I mean, it's physically manifesting. There is a ghost of someone that was killed, like a misplaced mortar round, a mistargeted mortar round that, and he's haunted by this situation. Like, and he believes it's not just in his head. Fucking dog. God damn it. I'm not starting over. Sorry. He believes it's not in his head. He believes he is physically being haunted, And so we open on, he's there, like in his bunk, and there's a couple other guys in the room, and then they go out on a what's the word? Damn it, it's not caravan. I know this word. Multiple vehicles in a row together. Shit. Anyway, so they go out on this thing, and one of the vehicles is hit by an IED, and they're attacked by insurgents, and they're battling back and forth, and we've got Ray and Marcus Simpson who is the guy that's now going to become like the veterans advocate. They're like in the lead vehicle and they're fighting off guys, but there's guys throughout the, the multiple other vehicles. Guys die out there, guys get severely injured out there. That shit, those war scenes were 5 stars, and I'm not a war fiction reader, but they were 5 stars. The funny thing about the post 9/11 wars, here in America, Afghanistan, Iraq, I think that everybody has a story about it. Like everybody has someone in their life that was affected by it, and so that shit, really hits close to home. But I'll be honest with you, like I've stayed away from fiction that touches it until now. And I know that John is an ex-Marine. I know that John spent time over there. I mean, and I actually spoke to him a bit back and forth about the book. He said the funny thing about writing, I'm loosely telling you what he said, but the funny thing about writing war fiction is the shit that seems unbelievable is the shit that really happened. He said there may be some embellishments here and there, but that shit really happened. And and like I said, everybody's got a story about that. My best friend in the world did 4 years in like, I don't know, late 90s, like non-wartime, right? Like down at Fort Hood, Texas. Got into the reserves like right before 9/11, and then of course got sent to Iraq, post 9/11, which as a young man, as a man in my early 20s, I had a huge problem with. Like I didn't understand why we were sending all these weekend warriors to go fight a war. I mean, I thought the reserves were I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just didn't get it, that we were sending these. I mean, he was a high school principal at the time, right? And we're sending him to fight a war. Anyway, but, so the whole idea of the IED, hitting a truck, I mean, it's a real story. He comes back, but just barely. Like, one day he gets up, they're going out on a truck ride, and, he spent time arguing with the other guy over who was going to drive, and the other guy won, the other guy drove. They hit an IED, it killed the driver, my friend walked away. So I feel that everybody has got like a story like that, something about this that really affected them. I mean, that shit framed my political views. It framed, the way I think about war and government and all these things for like the next 20 years. I mean, all my frame of mind, and I was right at that ripe age, right, where like, I don't know how many elections I'd been able to vote in at that point, but not very many. And so anyway, enough about that. But so the war shit in this book was amazing. I mean, just really, really good. Like I loved it. Like it was written with an expertise, but it wasn't, overly laden with like, military jargon. I mean, the action sequences were really good. And I actually messaged John and said, look, man, I'm like page 65. I'm loving it. Loving it. To that point, it was 5 stars for me. Now, again, we're setting up the Warriors Retreat. We're setting up I'm just going to tell you, a slasher type situation, right? A mass murder type situation. So we need characters. We want the body count to be high. So in between that, post-war, we come back, and so we've got to kind of follow all these guys here in America. And for that part, like I kind of felt like it was heavy on characters. Again, I know we need them, but I kind of felt that it was a little bit heavy. I mean, not too bad, but just a little bit heavy to where like some of these guys ran into each other for me, because really during the battle sequences, I felt that, we had Ray, we had Marcus, we knew there were other guys, but I didn't know much about them. There were a couple guys that were mentioned in the opening scene when I said, Ray's haunted. But anyway, we've got to like kind of reintroduce ourselves to each of them, like here in America, and then we're getting ready to go back to the retreat. So Ray, who on opening you feel is your main character, it's really kind of Marcus. Like Marcus is this guy that over there in Iraq, he was kind of like a wild man. Like, and you kind of felt like Ray was this troubled, haunted, remorseful type character, but Marcus was kind of like this big badass of a Marine, right? Gung-ho type character. But he comes back and he's the one that kind of gets clean, well, on some level, gets clean, but is really focused on the mental health aspect. And so he's organized this retreat. We're going to the retreat. I'm going to say 7 guys. It might not have been 7, but a rough estimate. All these guys, they get together and they go to the retreat. Now, Ray is like, again, hyper troubled, super troubled. Had a lot of issues. And like right before this thing, like he gets arrested for beating the shit out of a dude at a bar. And Marcus gets him out on bail to take him to this retreat, like kind of, spins it that this is a real mental health retreat type thing. So, enough about that. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. I mean, we've got varying levels of, good men, trying to dig their way out of, the mental health side of post-war. You've got other guys that are just barely getting by. You've got, there's some sex stuff in there in those parts where we're re-meeting those characters that, I felt really well written. I just don't know how necessary it was. Like, there's a couple where a couple dudes are banging a stripper, basically. But so we're going to this cabin. Now we get there, and I don't know exactly where it's at, but like I want to say it's like page 138, page 140, something like that. And again, this is like 190 page. No, it's like 180 page book, roughly, 182 pages. So we're like 140 or so before the real, the war part is horror, right? But before the real killing horror part starts. So like I felt when we got there, first of all, that stuff's really good too. Like the kill scenes were also 5 stars for me. But when we got there, I kind of felt like we rushed it. And I get it, when this shit happens, people die fast. I do, but I feel like we kind of lost the chance of like surprise, maybe lost the chance of like any like dread or fear building. Like I felt that, because when we get there, it's kind of the situation of where the killing starts. Marcus Simpson, our main character, finds some brutally murdered bodies. And it's just like, dot, 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 dot. And then it's the final square off, the final culmination. And I just felt like there was, I don't know, like I would have slowed it down. I almost wish this book was, I don't know, 230, 240, pages. So, but man, as far as the debut goes, just super impressed. And like I said, I went into it, I don't want to say I went into it with low expectations. But like I said, I've seen a lot of these situations where, I've read a lot of first time writers' books, and in some of these cases, like you realize after the fact that they've been writing for 20 years, this is just the first thing they put out, but I don't feel like it's that way with John, and John can correct me if I'm wrong. I know he'd put out a couple short stories, gotten in some anthologies, but this is like his debut novel or whatever. And novel, novella, I call novella anything under 150. Again, this is 182. So, but man, it was just really good. Really, really great war horror, really great, remote cabin in the woods horror. Like I said, that there were a couple other small. So I felt the ending was too fast. I felt like but goddamn, is it brutal? And it's the kill scenes were excellent. I just felt it was too fast. Maybe like a little pause in between them, a little bit of fear building. But and I asked him about. There's one aspect where Ray is the guy that's haunted, and there's, what? I'm gonna stop right there. There's one issue with Ray that like I kind of felt like I didn't get this particular feeling about him until late in the book, and I asked him about it. He said, "Well, I kind of set that up," and I was like, "All right," but I'm not going to tell you anything about it because I don't want to spoil anything. But overall, excellent. John has real chops, and I'm excited about it. Y'all should check this book out. And I'm not saying that lightly. Like, I know I gave it 4 stars, but it could be in my top 5 independent small press novels of the year. It's that damn good. I liked it that much. So yeah, this is The Warrior Retreat. It's by John Lynch. I gave it 4 stars. It's really, really great war horror. Really, really great, slasher, mass murder type horror. And it's got a really cool ending. And I'll leave it at that. Really, really cool ending. But The Warrior Retreat, John Lynch, Well Read Beard. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're enjoying all your books, all of them, as much as I am. If not, you're reading the wrong damn books.